Hello, and welcome to the short video on referencing, where I'll be discussing what it means to integrate scholarship with your own ideas when you write a project, and then show you where citations actually belong in your writing. The main idea underlying the integration of scholarship into your own ideas when you write a paper or a project is that you are taking part in an ongoing conversation. Academic writing is not simply a student providing their own ideas as if they came from nowhere. Projects are written in response to something that appears in a course, for example, and the course contains a part of the larger academic conversation or discourse. I've made a distinction here which requires clarification. Basically, what is it that constitutes your ideas and what constitutes scholarship? Well, your ideas are your own interpretations, your own arguments, or your own judgments and questions. What is it that you are interpreting? What are you questioning or evaluating? Well, that is scholarship. This usually comes in the form of books, journal articles, and other credible sources. Today, there are also many videos available online that are credible and can be used. All Newlane students have access to the JSTOR database, which I strongly recommend. But beware, there are also many sources that are not credible. If you have an inexplicable pain somewhere in your body and are looking for medical help, it is unlikely that you would approach a stranger on the street and ask their advice. It is even more unlikely that you would actually take their advice. Academic ideas are the same. So turn to experts for trusted sources. So if academic writing is you joining a larger conversation, how do you do so? How do you integrate scholarship into your work? One way of not doing this is to copy long quotations into your paper and expect of them to make your arguments for you or to do your work for you. Nor is the way to do so by adding quotations to your paper without using them in some meaningful way. Quotations need to be integrated. This usually happens in 3 steps. Firstly, the source of the quotation or information is introduced. Secondly, some information or point is quoted or paraphrased. And thirdly, you should respond to this in your writing. Before we look at an example, a quick word about paraphrasing. To paraphrase is to use someone else's idea, but not their exact words. As this is still someone else's idea, and not our own, we need to cite it just like we would a direct quotation. But let's return to the 3 steps and an example. Smith argues that public transport is a waste of taxpayers' money. I take the opposite position. Johnson has shown that public transport increases mobility, and increased mobility strengthens democratic participation. From this perspective, investment in public transport is not a waste, but a support for democratic life. So in this writing, I position myself against Smith and use some of Johnson's work to support my own point. I have not said that Smith is wrong because Johnson says so. I have added my own voice and my own argument to their points. This is also a good moment to look at the second aim of this video. Where exactly should citations go? Firstly, it is important to note that I have used the quotation as a part of my sentence. I introduced Smith, and then I quoted her. Immediately after I quoted her words, I provided the reference showing where I found this information. It is important to remember that citations always belong immediately after the idea that they refer to, even if this is in the middle of a sentence, like with Johnson. Only the first part of this sentence is Johnson's, while the second part is my own view, and this is made clear to the reader. I also made use of some paraphrasing with Johnson's work, as I did not quote anything directly. Instead, I merely report what Johnson has shown. And again, I added the citation immediately after this information appears in my paper. So citations need to be given after a quotation and also after paraphrasing someone else. And they also need to be given if I make use of a specific fact or statistic. General knowledge, like the Earth is round, does not need to be cited. But if I write, less than 60,000 people, or 0.001% of all living people, have as much wealth as 3 times the wealth that the bottom half of all living people have, then I need to show where I got my stats from. This is from the most recent World Inequality Report published by the World Inequality Lab in 2025. So to recap, when a student writes a project, they're taking part in a larger conversation that spans across time and space. A project is not simply a student's own ideas. A student will respond to other people's ideas or work, and this is shown through citations. When another's work is cited in this manner, it is used in a productive way, for example, as support for the student's own argument. And lastly, as a basic rule, immediately after a quotation or paraphrase or some specific statistics or facts are provided, a citation should appear. The most important point is to be honest about where ideas come from and to make sure that you give others credit for their own work. Good luck and happy writing.